if you use words such as never, always, everyone, no one, nothing, that's a red flag. Welcome, welcome. Here is part 3 of Understanding Anxiety. Have you watched the other two parts? What did you find of them? Did you find them useful? The first one was understanding the automatic negative thoughts, and the second part was understanding core beliefs. And these two are very much connected. One feeds the other. So let me know if you have any questions. Don't forget, this is a conversation we're starting, and this is all meant to help you understand anxiety and reverse it into inner peace. We will never be 100% stress free. We will never be 100% anxiety free. It's a complicated life we're living. We have expectations of ourselves. We carry traumas. Pain is inevitable in life. Of course, there's going to be anxiety and stress and all the uncomfortable emotions. But what we want is to be more aware of all this. It's to be aware of not only the emotions we're experiencing, but also the thoughts that we are creating and the beliefs we have about ourselves and people around us and the world around us and life in general. The more aware we are, the more in control, the less we will be affected and negatively impacted by these negative thoughts. That's why we're doing that. The third part is about cognitive distortions. And that's another also important part of understanding anxiety, because these are not specific thoughts or beliefs, but it's just a style. And we call them also unhelpful thinking styles. It's a style of thinking. It's a pattern in our thoughts. And when we realize the pattern, then we can also reverse or change the quality of the thought. Let me start with the first one. The first one is called all or nothing thinking. All or nothing thinking means that we are viewing a situation in extreme and polarized terms without considering any middle ground or any gray zone. It's either the worst or the best. Either I am going to get a promotion or I'm going to be fired. Either I will succeed in growing my business or I'm going to be a complete failure. You see that there's very extreme, and I don't see anything in between that. So, as I'm saying all these cognitive distortions, I will also make sure to include strategies how to reverse them. So when you realize that you're thinking in these polarities, practice identifying shades of gray. Like, what is the gray zone? Wait a minute, either or? There must be something in between. So instead of thinking situations as only bad or only good, challenge yourself to see whether there's a more balanced perspective. Like, for example, if you want a promotion and you think, oh, I'm totally going to fail that, I'm not going to get that promotion, then you can recognize that, yes, there is the fact that maybe I will not get the promotion or I will get it, but maybe there's something else in between, which is maybe I'm not going to get it now, but I'm going to get it in 3 months. Or maybe I can negotiate another change in my role. Maybe I will not get the promotion, but maybe I will take something else that also feels like a promotion for me. So you can see different alternatives in there. Or instead of thinking that since I didn't get the promotion, I'm a total failure, you can see how, yes, I didn't get the promotion, but that doesn't mean that I'm a failure at my work, because there are areas there that I have grown and I have succeeded in. But also there are other areas in my life that I'm doing really, really well. So we don't want to go into the all or nothing. That's the first cognitive distortion. Another one, overgeneralization. That's very easy to understand and to recognize. And I will tell you a trick about that. Overgeneralization means that you are drawing a very broad conclusion based on limited evidence, or maybe even a single instance. Something happened only once, and you think that it happens all the time. Like, for example, Again, I'm going to use a job interview. You think you had a negative experience with a job interview, and you think, oh, I will never find a job. I got rejected once, I will never find a job. Or maybe you were rejected 5 times. Oh, the last 5 times I've applied, I didn't get the job. I will never, ever find a job. So the trick is the use of some specific words. If you use words such as never, always, everyone, no one, nothing, if you use these words, or if your beliefs or your automatic negative thoughts have these words, that's a red flag that this is a cognitive distortion, and specifically the one of overgeneralization. With these words, that's overgeneralization. So, how do we reverse that? We understand that this is what we are doing because of the presence of these words, and we try to use words that show that this is not applicable in every case. So instead of saying, I always fail, well, I sometimes fail. Yeah, indeed. Like everybody else, everybody fails sometimes. But sometimes I also succeed. See, we are reversing it. We don't need to make it positive. This is toxic positivity, but we need to make it helpful, as we said in the first video. We need to make it to turn the anxiety volume from 10, turn it down to 5, or whatever volume you want, but to turn it down. And instead of, and the thought that I'm always going to fail has definitely more volume, more gravity from the thought, well, sometimes I do fail and sometimes I succeed. I'm not doomed to fail forever. That's a different thing. I'm more relaxed even when I'm saying that than when I'm saying, oh, I will always fail. See? The third one is what we call catastrophizing. It's a Greek word. I don't know if you have heard that before. Catastrophe means disaster, which means that we exaggerate the significance of an event by thinking that there will be a disaster coming. And also, we minimize the positive aspects of this event. So, the fact, for example, that you have a presentation and just before the presentation, you spilled coffee on your shirt or on your dress. And catastrophizing means, oh my God, it will be the worst presentation ever because I spilled coffee on my shirt, right? So I understand that this is a negative event, of course, but at the same time, from being negative to being a disaster, that's a long way that we just walked through, and that makes us even more anxious and even more doubting ourselves. So instead of that, we evaluate whether this disaster is actually going to happen. And instead of minimizing the positive incidents there or the positive events or positive features, to actually bring them in the conversation. So, yes, that's negative that I spilled coffee on my shirt, but at the same time, I've prepared really well for this presentation. And I don't think that the fact that I spilled coffee on my shirt will or can influence the presentation so negatively, unless I keep thinking about it. If I can put it aside, if I don't think about it as something detrimental, then maybe I can focus on my presentation or on the people that are there with me, or thinking of these people as people who will understand that this was something that happened out of bad luck and it doesn't say anything about my presentation skills or my whatever knowledge. Another one is personalization. Personalization is when we take responsibility for events that maybe are not our own responsibility. Maybe there are also external events that contribute to that. So, for example, the fact that a friend of yours canceled their plans, and you assume that they do that because you are boring. Ah, I know why they cancel the plans with me, because I'm boring. So you take personal responsibility for somebody else's actions. That's what we call personalization. How we can reverse that? Well, we want to distinguish between the factors that are within our control and factors that are outside of our control. We want to challenge ourselves that we are the only person responsible for negative outcomes or for other people's actions. Yes, maybe there's a chance that they don't feel like talking to me today, but at the same time, what if something happened to them? What if they had an accident? Or what if they're sick? Or what if they have lots of work? These are factors outside of my control. And instead of assuming that I am the sole responsible for that, maybe I can check with my friend before I jump into this conclusion. Another one is mind reading. This is again jumping into conclusions because we think we know what other people think, what other people feel. So, for example, let's say you have a colleague at your workplace, and then for a couple of days they seem to be distant, and then you assume they have a problem with you. And you don't even check whether this is true. You already assume that this is the truth. And this is the mind reading. I know she is mad at me because I didn't agree in taking this project off your hands, for example. So again, the strategy that we use in order to reverse it, seek clarification, check with the other person, even though you're 100% sure that this is the case, get feedback from them. What is it really happening? Talk to me. I assume that this is the case, but I want to check with you whether there can be another reason. Another one that we call cognitive distortion is the emotional reasoning. And this is where you believe that your feelings reflect on objective reality. Like, for example, when you are anxious about giving a presentation, so you conclude, yeah, probably it must be a terrible presentation. Otherwise, I wouldn't feel anxious. Otherwise, I wouldn't feel apprehensive or doubting myself. So you take the emotion you're experiencing and you're creating a reasonable argument that explains a part of your life. So, also, in order to change that, what we do is we challenge the validity of the emotion by examining the evidence we have. So, I might feel anxious, but that doesn't say anything about my presentation. So, just separating these two, I'm feeling anxious because this is important. I'm feeling anxious because I want to be good at it. And it's the first time I'm giving a presentation, but not reasoning your skills based on your emotions. And the last one, the should statement. When you say things that have should or must or have to, like, for example, I should always be productive. That's something we say to ourselves. And then there's a day when we feel really distracted, or we cannot be productive, or we're feeling tired. When we have that kind of belief, I should always be productive, you see how stressed and unhappy we are going to feel because that specific day we don't feel productive. If we didn't have that should statement, we would actually be more compassionate and realistic towards ourselves. Yes, I do want to be productive, but that doesn't happen every day. There are going to be some days where I'm not going to be productive, and that's okay. So that's okay is missing from the should and the must statements. So what we need to do, I mean, I've already said it, replace the should with more flexible and realistic language. I want to be, I'm trying to be productive every day, but sometimes it doesn't happen, and that's okay. So try replacing that thought so that you don't beat yourself up every time you don't meet these unrealistic expectations. How was that? Was that helpful? We talked about 8 cognitive distortions. And let me know if that helps you with understanding your anxiety and actually reversing it way before it becomes even more overwhelming. Thank you for being here. If you are looking for support in dealing with anxiety, in catching these negative, anxious, self sabotaging thoughts, you know the way at antiloneliness.com. me and my team, we are there to support you. We have been supporting people in dealing with anxiety, depression, burnout, relationship issues for years now. And we are here to support you as well. We're growing all the time, so there's no waiting list. Reach out to us, and we are going to be there helping you feel good, feel better, feel more balanced really soon. Thank you for watching. Take good care of yourself.